a concealed episode of my existence prior to matrimony. An authentic tale of betrayal. Greetings to all, I am here. Claire was born and raised in Virginia, a tranquil locale adorned with tree-lined streets and long stretches of houses. During my formative years, I was predominantly in the company of my parents. My mother embodied gentleness, her smile greeting me each morning as she went about her preparations, morning meals extending into the twilight hours. In the modest kitchen, she challenged my father, a man of few words yet immense responsibility, who toiled diligently to provide for our family. Our abode was modest and unadorned, yet it brimmed with affection. All that resided in my memory seemed flawless, or so I believed. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, allowing me to share even more captivating true stories such as this one. Be sure to watch this video all the way through, as the unfolding narrative promises to be truly captivating. Yet, at the tender age of 15, my universe abruptly crumbled. My mother departed this world following a swift and unforeseen illness, leaving me in a state of bewilderment as the sensation of emptiness began to swell within me. I observed my father succumb to solitude in a home that once resonated with joy. Though we remained under the same roof, we were no longer the family we had once been. Each dawn, I ventured to school, and with the setting sun, I returned home. The kitchen remained unchanged, a familiar space where simple meals were prepared with care. Yet, my mother was absent, and each meal consisted of just the two of us. The chasm between my father and me seemed to widen beyond the confines of our home when, at the age of 18, he chose to remarry. It was a jolt to the system, despite the quiet understanding within me that he was worthy of joy once more. My stepmother, his new wife, possessed a gentle and kind spirit. Accompanying her was her son, Ryan, who happened to be a year my junior. Initially, it seemed peculiar, as though my existence had been flipped on its head. Once more, the tranquility of my former life had slipped away. At first, I experienced a sense of unease in my attempts to bond with my younger brother, despite the fact that he had done nothing to warrant such feelings. He was silent, and, much like myself, was endeavoring to adjust to our new circumstances as the evenings unfolded. The entire family would convene in the living room. My father and stepmother engaged in conversation about their jobs or upcoming endeavors, while Ryan and I shared knowing looks. Overwhelmed by confusion, I found myself bowing my head in response. Family meals transformed into peculiar opportunities for us to deepen our understanding of one another. Ryan frequently assisted me with food, a seemingly small gesture that carried a weight of significance. He often remained silent, his words few and far between, yet there were moments when his gaze would linger just a heartbeat longer than expected. I found myself pondering whether my feelings were overly sensitive, or if it was merely the innocent affection of a younger brother for his newly acquired older sister. There was emotional confusion as we both adjusted to a new family structure, which created moments of discomfort and misunderstanding. There were moments throughout the day when my heart raced at his mere presence, and I found myself resenting that feeling. I struggled with conflicting feelings about our evolving sibling relationship, unsure of how to process the changes. One night, I heard a soft light. Footsteps echoed in the hallway as Ryan slipped into my room, a familiar routine we shared. We would exchange brief words before he retreated to his own space. But this time, he lingered, an unspoken tension hanging in the air. His gaze lingered longer than usual, probing into mine as though he yearned to communicate something profound. Uncertainty clouded my thoughts on how to reply. The air around us was heavy with tension, crackling with unspoken energy. The silence lingered, extending beyond the confines of my thoughts. As I nodded, subtly encouraging him to linger a bit longer, we found ourselves enveloped in the darkness, two strangers bound by an inexplicable closeness. To be truthful, I had a fondness for Ryan. He possessed a striking handsomeness that drew my gaze. At times, a flicker of guilt would cross my mind, considering he was my brother in name. Yet, such thoughts were swiftly overshadowed by the rational understanding that accompanied our shared existence beneath the same roof. Though we slept in separate rooms on the second floor, our father and stepmother resided below us on the first. This arrangement occasionally resulted in uncomfortable circumstances. At that moment, Ryan and I found ourselves navigating through crucial turning points in our lives. As a college freshman, I found myself navigating the complexities of academia, while he, a senior in high school, was consumed by the weight of impending exams that loomed over us both, a fresh cadence of existence. Yet, the air was thick with unspoken words during those hushed evenings that followed the school day. We would gather on the sofa in the living room, side by side. The flickering light of the television cast a soft glow over our quietude as we grappled with the elusive search for words. The emotions we shared were shrouded in ambiguity, diverging from the conventional bonds of siblinghood. I came to the profound realization that I truly held affection for him. This realization, transcending mere familial affection, left me in a state of confusion. Still, I couldn't ignore the way my heart quickened at the mere sight of Ryan. It was a tranquil evening, much like any other, when the unsettling realization struck me. This night would not conclude as my parents had anticipated. They had embarked on a 5-day trip, leaving Ryan and me to navigate the solitude of our home. At first, we believed it would be an opportunity to unwind, free from the watchful eyes of adults. That evening, we settled into the living room, engrossed in a romantic film that held little interest for either of us, merely a way to pass the time. I had laid out an assortment of snacks, dried squid, fruits, and a few cans of soda, while the town outside whispered of a hectic week now behind us. The film commenced. We chatted innocently, our laughter breaking the stillness of the house, when suddenly an unexpected scene unfolded before us. A couple locked in a passionate embrace, their reasons shrouded in mystery. Silence enveloped us. The laughter dwindled, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. As I sat there, clutching my soda can in an attempt to steady my nerves, I could sense Ryan's gaze upon me, unspoken words hanging in the air, and a warm sensation began to spread through my body unexpectedly. Suddenly, Ryan held me in a firm embrace, one that caught me completely off guard. It wasn't playful, nor was it inappropriate, but it carried a gravity that made the air feel heavier. For a moment, the noise inside me stopped. All the tension, the unspoken glances, the confusion we'd buried for so long, surfaced in silence. I felt my heart pounding, not out of love or desire, but out of sheer emotional overload. There was something between us that neither of us could define, and yet it pressed in like a storm we hadn't prepared for. That night didn't cross a physical line, but it cracked open a door I tried to keep closed. And from that moment on, nothing between us felt simple anymore. Ryan and I were inseparable, shattering all boundaries. We exchanged few words, everything unfolding instinctively, a culmination of what had been suppressed for so long. The closeness we once cherished faded, replaced by emotions that spiraled beyond our control. The next morning is etched in my memory, the soft sunlight streaming through the curtains as I lay beside Ryan in what ought to have been my tranquil sleeping haven. Everything around me remained the same. The room was quiet, the light warm. Yet, something within me had irrevocably shifted as we exchanged glances. A few words exchanged, accompanied by glances that hinted at a shared understanding. Our lives would never return to what they once were. In the days that followed, my father and stepmother continued their travels, while we embraced the time we had together. The awkwardness had dissipated, replaced by a complex sense of comfort. We existed as though we were a youthful pair, entwined in love, liberated from the scrutinizing gaze of the world around us. Meals evolved from lively family gatherings into cherished, intimate moments shared solely between Ryan and me as we watched each night. In those moments, films whispered their stories as we found comfort in each other's presence during a difficult time, though it raised many personal questions I wasn't ready to face. I chose to overlook the truth that Ryan and I were merely siblings in name. We floated through life as a blissful couple, untouched by the concerns of the world beyond our little bubble. At last, the day came when my parents returned, and upon stepping into the house, everything fell back into its familiar rhythm. Ryan and I fell back into our familiar roles as siblings, acting as if nothing had transpired, as if every intimate moment had simply been a passing dream. My parents, blissfully unaware, engaged in cheerful conversations about their travels, while Ryan and I shared knowing glances, acutely conscious that our secret must stay concealed. In the months that followed, we nurtured our hidden relationship, seizing stolen moments whenever the opportunity arose. Those secretive evenings, brimming with passion, evolved into a cherished routine. We often had late-night talks, trying to process our new family dynamics in secret. We would embrace, as if the daylight had never imposed a divide between us. By day, we donned the masks of normalcy, participating in family meals that drew no suspicion, while our eyes would meet only in brief, electric moments. This concealed tension left me gasping, yet the guilt that lingered was not potent enough to compel me to turn away each night. I found myself ensnared in a web of secrecy with Ryan, a familiarity that both comforted and terrified me. I realized I could not allow this to persist, so I quietly started taking birth control pills, determined to keep my actions hidden from prying eyes. I dreaded the potential consequences of our relationship, yet instead of stopping, I continued to maintain control. About a year later, Ryan graduated and moved to a new city for college. When he left, I knew our relationship would inevitably change. Even if I didn't want to admit it, the distance made things harder. No more secret nights, no more quiet moments shared. The physical separation forced us to pause our relationship. Though I often felt nostalgic for our past, after graduating, I sought a new path for myself. I applied for a job as an office worker at a digital company. The position was nothing extraordinary, but it offered me stability, a respite from the emotional turmoil I had experienced. That's when he met him, the man who had changed my life forever. He owned a successful hair salon in the city and exuded calmness, confidence, and charm. From our first meeting, I was struck by his strength and kindness. He was unlike anyone I had ever known. Every story he shared, every glance he offered, made me feel safe, something I'd long yearned for. We fell in love quickly. Everything unfolded naturally, as if we were destined to find one another. Before long, we were married, beginning the family life I had always dreamed of. Now we have a child together, and life feels more complete than ever. My days with him and our child helped me temporarily forget the painful memories of the past, although they occasionally resurface during moments of weakness. I am certain I have discovered a new sanctuary, man deserving of love and reverence. Yet, in the recesses of my mind, the echoes of Ryan and those clandestine days persist, stubbornly resisting the passage of time. I frequently find myself pondering whether I could ever completely let go of the past. Now, with a family to safeguard, that is my foremost priority. Yet, an unsettling guilt lingers within me regarding my husband. He is an extraordinary man, consistently offering me sincere love and support. However, each time I gaze into his eyes, a weight settles in my heart, as if I am concealing a fragment of my history that he rightfully deserves to understand. I grapple with the question of whether I should tell him about my past with Ryan. The thought keeps me awake at night, torn between revealing the truth and keeping the secret forever. I fear that if I can confess, he might never look at me the same way again. Everything we have built, the little family I cherish, could crumble due to my admission. On the other hand, living with this secret feels like a burden weighing me down each day. It makes me feel unworthy of the love he has for me. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I stand at a crossroads, uncertain which path is the right one. Perhaps when you hear my story, you will judge me for hurting many people and for the poor decisions I made in the past, but I can only ask you, if you were in my situation, what would you do? Would you choose to confess the truth, knowing it might shatter everything? Or would you choose silence, letting the past sink deep into your memory, hoping it never returns to harm those you love? I hope to receive your advice in the comment section below. If you were in my shoes, what would you choose? Should I share everything and face the consequences, or should I keep this secret to safeguard what I have? I appreciate any advice, sympathy, or criticism, because truly I find myself at a crossroads, uncertain of the right path forward.